Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, the Seadrift City Council is meeting to tackle the ongoing water issues and discuss key changes to city positions. Plus, a standoff at a Victoria apartment ends with a wanted man in custody, plus a discovery inside that led to even more charges. And a Yorktown resident is raising alarms over brown water flowing into his home, but the city isn't offering any answers.
Well, it looks like spring has sprung because we got spring-like temperatures through the next 7 to 10 days. So enjoy the sunshine. We'll have more details on the fog that's going to be a problem tomorrow morning coming up in a moment.
And the Cuero Lady Gobblers are about to tip off for the state semifinal basketball game. We'll take you there live. You're watching 25 News now at 5. Good afternoon and thanks for being with us. I'm Shawna Currie. Seadrift City Council is holding a special meeting tonight where they will discuss their recent water situation and several administrative positions. 25 News Now reporter Trenton Whiting is live in Seadrift and joins us with more details. Trenton?
Yeah, Shawna, one of the main things we're watching for during tonight's meeting is about a pair of offenses against Alderman Paul Gonzalez. Former Public Works Director Robert Bryant and Patrol Officer James Easley are the two parties looking to address their grievances with the alderman. Details surrounding these complaints are unconfirmed by the city, but they'll reveal those details, discuss, and potentially take action tonight. Other items of note, they'll amend the job description for Public Works Director as they continue to search for Bryant's replacement. They'll also discuss grant applications for the Texas Division of Emergency Management. TDUM stepped in to assist the city during their declaration of disaster in January. The meeting begins at 6 p.m. and we'll give you the latest updates on 25 News Now at 10. Reporting live from Seadrift City Hall, Trenton Whiting, KAVU TV, 25 News Now.
Bloomington's Better Together group is hosting a town hall tonight. This is video from the group's January meeting. We may have that here for you in a moment, but tonight the residents will get an update from County Commissioner Danny Garcia, along with committee reports on this weekend's upcoming neighborhood cleanup, Little League fundraisers, and other news within the community. The meeting is at the VFW Hall in Bloomington starting at 6:30 p.m. The Goliad County Commissioner's Court is set to meet Friday at 9 a.m. with plans to discuss and possibly appoint a new Precinct 1 constable. The position is open after Kevin Story resigned on February 7th following a resolution to eliminate the office altogether. Monday's commissioners' meeting never happened. It was canceled after officials realized they violated the Texas Open Meetings Act. While the agenda was posted on time at the county courthouse, state law requires it also be available online at least 72 hours in advance, which did not happen. Victoria police arrest a wanted man after a standoff at an apartment on East Airline. Officers arrived on February 14th to serve a warrant on Philip Longoria Garza for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and felony possession of a firearm. They spotted him on the balcony and ordered him to stay put while holding him at gunpoint. Other occupants refused to open the door, so officers forced entry. Inside, they detained two women and found a handgun in plain sight on the couch. Longoria Garza was arrested and a search turned up nearly 500 grams of marijuana and multiple Xanax pills. He now faces several charges, including drug possession and unlawful firearm possession. All three people there were taken to the Victoria County Jail. Victoria police and family members are shedding new light on a 5-year-old missing person case. It all started like a normal morning. Jeremy Vasquez, who was 16 at the time, was supposed to go to school. But after hearing an argument between his dad and stepmom, he decided to stay home instead. Later, after another argument with his stepmom, Jeremy went for a walk with the family dog. Hours later, the dog came back, but Jeremy never did. A lot of our viewers had never heard of this case until last week, and honestly, neither had we, until the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children released a new age progression image showing what Jeremy might look like today at age 21. Tonight on 25 News Now at 10, we'll hear from Jeremy's mother about where the case stands today and the questions that still need answers. And this brings us to our viewer poll today. When should the public be alerted about missing teens? All of the time, when police decide that it's important to notify the public, or when the family decides to notify the public? We want to hear from you. Visit crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. And so far, 88% of voters feel that anytime there's a missing teen, regardless of circumstances, the public should be alerted. So continue voting. We'll have the latest numbers on 25 News Now at 6. Lavaca County officials are warning residents about recent scams. They are urging residents to stay alert and protect their personal information. According to a Facebook post on the sheriff's office page, scammers have already targeted several local residents using tactics like fake AT&T refunds, Geek Squad subscriptions, toll road authority warrants, and IRS threats. Authorities are asking residents to be cautious and not share personal details over the phone. If something seems suspicious, they encourage you to call them before taking any action. A Yorktown resident is raising concerns about the water flowing into his home. Timothy Bolt says he's been dealing with brown water for months, unsure if it's safe to drink or even shower with. Some days the water is dark brown, others it's a little clearer, but the problem has not gone away. And now he's calling on the city to step up and fix it. We reached out to the Yorktown Public Works Department for answers, but they declined to comment. The TCEQ says it has not received any complaints. Well, let's go to Mac Perez now with a first look at our forecast. And Mac, I have to say I have no complaints about this weather.
Yeah, it's pretty delightful when you consider the winter we've been through. So temperatures again today got up into the upper 70s, and 80 degrees, I believe, was our official high for the day. That's currently, we're at 76. You can see how they're in the 90s down along the Rio Grande. Wow, is that the end of winter? That is the big question. We'll be talking about that and talking about the fog for tomorrow morning coming up in just a few minutes. Shawna, back to you.
Well, tonight is a big night for local sports. The Cuero Lady Gobblers are just 45 minutes away from tipping off against the Bridge City Cardinals in the state semifinals. The action starts at 6 at the Merrill Center in Katy. That's where 25 News Now sports reporter Ray Robinson is live, getting us ready for this big matchup. Ray.
That's right, Shawna. Here in just a few moments, the city of Currie will proudly have his presence felt here at the Merrill Center in Katy, Texas. And just like you guys heard from Coach Crane last night, these ladies are excited, but they're also focused. And they're doing that by counting on each other and communicating to one another. And that was made apparent to me after talking to seniors Arissa Cabernera and Aubrey Bowles.
We remind each other, you know, when one's messing up, we remind them, you know, like, hey, you're supposed to be here. Like, don't forget, you know, and we always talk a lot. Like, we communicate really well on the court. So it just helps us know where we're supposed to be and, you know, stuff like that.
I think definitely just thinking about the game, preparing for the game, watching a lot of film, talking about it over with the girls. And I think just staying focused on all the preparation we've put into the game, not really trying to make the game bigger than it is. It's still just a game of basketball. I mean, it's an important game, but every game that we play is important. So just kind of focusing on the little things and the little aspects of the game and just going out there tomorrow being ready to compete.
These ladies are laser focused and they all seem to be on the same page. So this is a recipe for success. Now make sure you tune into our 6 p.m. newscast where we'll be a few minutes into the first quarter and hopefully we'll have a positive update. Shawna, back to you.
All right, best of luck. We'll be cheering them on from here. Well, a section of East Street is closing for utility work this week. Drivers in the area should plan for a temporary road closure on East Street between Rio Grande Street and the Chick-fil-A drive-thru from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day through Friday for a utility tie-in. Businesses and homes in the area will stay open and accessible, but officials recommend using alternate routes to avoid delays. A stretch of J2 Ranch Road is also closing for road work. From west to Highway 77 is closed to through traffic through Tuesday, March 4th for road improvements. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell to receive alerts. Stay with us straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5. The FAA is now investigating a close call after 2 planes nearly collided on a runway in Chicago. And as American Heart Month wraps up, experts are highlighting a condition that many may unknowingly have. Find out if you're at risk. Welcome back. We're following breaking news this afternoon. The FAA now investigating a close call in Chicago after two planes nearly collided on a runway at Midway Airport. ABC's Zoreen Shaw is following all of the developments.
Take a look at this video, a close call at Chicago's Midway Airport this morning. The FAA saying a Southwest Airlines plane initiated a go-around when a business jet crossed into the active runway. The pilot calmly telling air traffic control he's aborting the landing.
Southwest 2504 going around.
You can see the Southwest flight, a Boeing 737-800 from Omaha, just 50 feet from touching down on the runway when the pilot pulls up. You can see the business jet on that very same runway.
Tower Southwest 2504, how'd that happen?
Flight radar showing the Southwest plane passing roughly 250 feet above the business jet. This happened just before 9 this morning. Video from Google Earth also showing the plane coming in for landing. Air traffic controllers can be heard telling the business jet to hold short and not cross the runway, but the business jet does not follow instructions. The FAA now investigating.
Cross hold short hotel, flight jet 560.
Flight jet 560, your instructions are to hold short of runway 31 center. Flight jet 560, hold right there, sir. Don't move.
Hold position 560.
All of this coming after a Delta flight carrying 76 people caught fire and rolled over at Toronto Pearson International Airport last week on a snow-covered runway. Everyone survived. And just 1 month after dozens of people died when an American Airlines flight collided with a military helicopter near Ronald Reagan Airport in Washington, D.C. A Southwest spokesperson says today the crew followed safety procedures and the flight landed without incident. A FlexJet spokesperson saying in a statement the company adheres to the highest safety standards and they're conducting a thorough investigation. Zoreen Shaw, ABC News, Los Angeles.
The number of measles cases in Texas has grown to 124, with the outbreak spreading as far as the northwestern tip of the Panhandle. To read the full Texas Tribune article, visit crossroadstoday.com. Well, this is the last week of February, and before American Heart Month ends, experts want to bring awareness to a condition that many people may have without even knowing it. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither explains hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, the most common genetic heart condition in the U.S.
It's often called a silent killer. Hypertrophic cardiomyopathy is often a genetic condition affecting about 1 in 500 people in the U.S. It causes a heart muscle to thicken, making it harder to pump blood.
The thick heart muscle itself create rhythm issues. So these patients' heart can go out of rhythm into some deadly heart rhythms sometimes. And can cause sudden cardiac death.
Dr. Saeed Al-Sadawi with Mayo Clinic says only a fraction of people with this condition are actually diagnosed. He says symptoms can include shortness of breath, chest pain, lightheadedness, dizziness, or passing out, especially during exercise or other exertion. But in many cases, he says there are no signs until a sudden cardiac arrest.
Unfortunately, we keep seeing either people not seeking attention, physician not diagnosing it on time, or not recognizing the diagnosis despite having the appropriate imaging.
If you have a first-degree relative, like a parent with this condition, Al-Sadawi says that raises the risk you'll also have it. So he says genetic testing is important.
Now, the challenge becomes we have people who have no family members who have the condition, and they have no symptoms. So how do we know somebody has hypertrophic cardiomyopathy? This is a big area now of investigation.
While that research continues, Al-Sadawi says patients should advocate for themselves, and if symptoms are present, seek medical help. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
If diagnosed, there is treatment for hypertrophic cardiomyopathy that can allow the patient to live a normal life. That includes medications, surgery, and in severe cases, heart transplantation.
Well, take a look at this. Looks pretty good, wouldn't you say? Lots of sunshine again today, and temperatures, well, they're really rebounding into what may be the rest of the month here. And obviously, we're almost out of February. 76 right about now. We managed to get up to 80 this afternoon. 43 is our low this morning in the soupy fog. I know you had trouble with that. We're supposed to be only about 70 degrees this time of year, so even that is a little bit above normal. So looks like spring has really sprung through the next 7 to 10 days. We'll be talking about that coming up in just a moment.
From heartbreak to hope, a survivor's journey following heart failure.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's fears because, you know, it's not a guarantee. Talked to a guy one day, he's had his heart for over 30 years. That's, you know, that's reassuring.
Shawna Currie brings us their inspiring story as we celebrate Heart Month. Watch Beating the Odds, a 25 News Now Extra.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Yes, it certainly feels like springtime out there. In fact, in some places of the state, it's already summertime. While we're at a nice, comfortable 76 right about now, look at that, 90 degrees. This is currently in Laredo and Del Rio. They're picking up, of course, a south wind. It's coming off the landmass, so it's warmer and drier, and that's why they're already at summer-like temperatures. But tonight, again, we're going to be dealing with the fog. Now, for those of you that got up early this morning, you know what we're talking about. It was down to a quarter-mile visibility, almost zero visibility. Is, you know, you can't see your nose. And tomorrow morning we're probably going to do that again. So at about midnight, or even before midnight, we should start picking it up. But again, at 3 o'clock in the morning to about 6 in the morning, looking at half-mile visibilities in all these areas. And remember, I said, if you can avoid travel, you'll get there faster if you leave about 9 o'clock. But if you need to leave at 7 in the middle of all that, it's kind of a problem because it's going to be quite soupy again. This is when the atmosphere cools down at night and everything that we have in terms of moisture condenses out. So we'll have to deal with it again tomorrow morning with soupy skies, all right, or menudo skies, whichever you prefer. So again, high pressure is moving slightly to the east. As a result, we're picking up strong southerly winds. That's bringing up the warm air and giving us the very spring-like temperatures. This is the storm system that was in the Pacific. It's now rolling across the Dakotas. The tail end of this front is actually going to move through our area, but it's not going to be much because the storm center is continuing to roll almost due east. So it is not going to be a major factor in terms of temperatures. You can see what we're talking about here. We're talking 77 tomorrow. And then the cool down is right here, 73, not exactly a big cool down, but for these 2 days, shall we say, it'll be nice, dry, no fog on these 2 mornings. And as we get to the weekend, we're going to start pushing the 80-degree mark again. So let's look at our overnight lows. Down to 55 for our area, 55 in San Antonio, 59 in Corpus Christi, 57 out along the Texas border. These temperatures, again, are, you know, we don't do anything normal anymore. These are above normal. We were below normal, then above normal, then below, and here we are again, above normal. These are running 10 degrees above where they're supposed to be at this time of the year. And let's face it, this is the end of February. March begins over the weekend, and we're in March. And by mid-March, I always say the Ides of March. If it's after March 15th, you can pretty much give up on winter in South Texas. Future tracker, you see anything? No, just the fog in the morning, and then afternoon sun will be with us right on through Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. A little bit of cloud cover when that little tail end of that front drifts through our area, but that's just for the morning hours. Then in the afternoon, it does burn off. And so, yeah, sunny skies all the way through. Let's take a look at your day planner for those of you in Port Lavaca. Down to about 60 tonight, and that's not particularly cold. I mean, we were in the 40s. And then tomorrow afternoon, getting up to about 76 degrees in sunny skies. In Cuero, down to 58 tonight, and then getting up to almost 80 tomorrow. So, yep, we can put our coats away for quite some time. You can even send them to the cleaners and sort of wait for next year. Here's our frontal system early on Thursday. Pardon me. And then as we get into the weekend, things are looking pretty good as we start getting up to almost 80 degrees, just in time for the livestock show. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone. Shawna, back to you.
Still to come on 25 News Now at 5, tax season collides with headlines about IRS layoffs. A look at what it means for your return. U.S. stocks largely slid today as investors digested a poor outlook from a consumer confidence survey. Here's a closer look at final numbers. The Dow up 159 points, the S&P 500 down 28 points, the Nasdaq down 261 points, and oil is down $1.58 to $69.12 per barrel. Recent surveys show many Americans are feeling the strain on their wallets. Rising inflation and concerns over President Trump's tariff plans are fueling economic uncertainty. The Conference Board's Consumer Confidence Index dropped for the third straight month in February, while the National Federation of Independent Businesses Uncertainty Index hit its third highest level ever in January. And according to a new Wells Fargo survey, about 75% of adults and teens say they're planning to cut back on spending because of economic worries. Well, tax season is in full swing and it's collided with headlines about IRS layoffs and cuts. So what does it mean for your return and your refund? Well, Karen Kafa is in Washington with what taxpayers need to know.
Last week, the IRS was expected to start layoffs of more than 6,000 employees as part of the Trump administration's broader cuts to the federal workforce at the agency's busiest time of year.
We know that when the IRS is understaffed, as it was in the 2010s, it makes refunds slower. It means they have a hard time answering their phones if you've got questions.
Vanessa Williamson, a senior fellow in governance studies at the Brookings Institution, says the cuts could impact important taxpayer resources.
There's some evidence that a lot of the cuts are going to come to people who help small business owners who have some of the most complicated taxes of anyone. So if you haven't filed, I recommend you file as soon as possible.
Tom O'Sabin, Director of Tax Content and Government Relations at the National Association of Tax Professionals, says amid leaner IRS staffing, taxpayers should try to limit the need for person-to-person contact with the agency.
What it means is if there's any possibility to electronically file your return, do so. Whether you're using a tax professional or you're filing or you're on your own, or you use the direct file system, which is relatively new at the IRS, try to submit your return electronically.
O'Sabin adds the careful preparation can also minimize omissions and errors that could take longer to correct. And no matter the headlines, he says, to complete that return.
In reading a lot of these social media posts and the like, there's been some talk about waiting to file or don't bother to file. I think that's a fool's recommendation.
In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
Home Depot just snapped its long losing streak. The company reported a 0.8% sales increase at stores open for at least a year last quarter, ending 8 straight quarters of declines. Looking ahead, Home Depot is optimistic, predicting a 1% sales growth in 2025. That could be a positive sign beyond just home improvement, since the company is a key indicator of the U.S. housing market and economy. But not all retailers are as upbeat. Walmart, which is the nation's largest retailer, warned last week that 2025 could be a tougher year, with sales slowing due to inflation and tariff concerns. Denny's is tacking on an egg surcharge at some locations as shortages drive up prices. The diner chain is not saying exactly how much the extra charge is, but it did confirm that pricing decisions are being made on a restaurant-by-restaurant basis. And Denny's is not alone. Waffle House recently added a 50-cent increase to meals that include eggs. Even major retailers like Costco and Trader Joe's are feeling the squeeze, limiting how many eggs customers can buy. Well, stay with us. Coming up next, a critter plays possum on the Bay Bridge. We'll share the full story. Don't go away.
Coming up tonight, the near disaster at a Chicago airport, a passenger jet coming in for landing, suddenly pulling up when another jet crosses the runway, and you'll see it in a moment. Also just in tonight, as President Trump reached a deal with President Zelensky, and is Zelensky now coming to the White House? Next.
Well, San Francisco commuters hit an unexpected slowdown on the Bay Bridge. And no, it was not rush hour. A bold little possum decided to take on the bridge, leaving drivers doing double takes as it scurried across the upper deck. One motorist spotted the daring marsupial and called police, but catching this critter wasn't so easy. It pulled off an impressive escape, even dodging traffic like a pro, like he'd done this before. Luckily, a passerby who just happened to run an animal rescue stepped in to help. In the end, the possum was safely captured and traffic was back to its usual human-caused chaos. So I'm glad that they took the time to rescue it and make sure that it was okay.
A slowdown on the Bay Bridge is like a tragedy. I mean, that just like the whole city stops right there because it's such a highly used bridge. And what do we stop for? A possum? Well, folks, hope you're ready for springtime because it's going to feel really good all the way through the next 7 days. And tomorrow night, that's Wednesday night late, there's a little front you see there on Thursday early, but it's a north wind and it'll blow away the humidity. We won't have any fog on Thursday, Friday, but tomorrow, Wednesday, yep, another morning of soupy weather. So do drive carefully. I don't believe we had any big traffic problems this morning, but it certainly was dense. And of course, the weather looks good all the way through the weekend. Time for the livestock show.
All right, almost a copy and paste forecast there,
I
making
think
your
I
job
should-
easier.
I think I should go on spring break. I really think we should.
It's right around the corner.
Yeah,
We'll be
okay,
there.
I'm ready.
Well, thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here in just 30 minutes after World News with David Muir.